Hello, you absolute muscle-bound fiends looking to get all that sexy muscle onto that frame. I'm here to bust a myth. The muscle confusion. This is currently you. I need to confuse muscle to grow muscle. Incorrect. It is just a marketing myth that is used to suck you into group fitness classes like F45 and stuff like that. It is absolute fucking bullshit, and I'm going to explain why. So muscle adaptation, also known as muscle growth, happens over weeks and months, not days. Neuromuscular adaptations peak in the first 3 to 6 weeks of a new lift. So if you are constantly changing things within 3 to 6 weeks, you are not making any muscle adaptation. You have just recruited more of your nervous system to lift that weight better and faster. So what happens when you change too often? This image has just completely fucked up, but it was like karate chopping. This is imagine that you are progressing and then you go, oh, I'm just going to change things. Well, it puts a massive stop in your progress. And here is why. So neural versus muscular gains. The first phase of a lift is all nervous system efficiency. You just get better at doing the thing. Your body understands its position in space and what it's doing. It just gets better at recruiting more muscle to do that thing. So you might have noticed that, just say you do a deadlift, and one week it's extremely heavy. You've just started deadlifts. And then the next week it's easier with that same sort of weight. That is just a neuromuscular change. You have not put on more muscle or gotten stronger. Hypertrophy comes later. You need repeated stimulus. I put up an Instagram post about this today. It's a chronic stimulus. It needs to happen back to back to back to back to back to start happening. When you change your lifts, you can't measure the progressive overload accurately. If you're just chopping and changing, you do flies to presses to flies again to back or all these different things, there is no measurable way for you to track that progress. It is simply you just picking at hairs, looking for something to progress on because the other thing has stopped working after 3 to 6 weeks. You need to give this time. As Schoenfeld has noted here in this study, mechanical tension over time is the main hypertrophy driver. That's what it takes to build muscle. It takes a long time. Now, whether you're taking fucking steroids or you're natural or whatever you may be, it is the same sort of effort that needs to be put in over time. Here's the example. Just say you do bench press and you swap it for dumbbell flies. You're like, whoa, I'm so fucking strong moving from bench to flies. It is just a motor learning. You haven't put on bigger pecs unless you've been doing bench to the utmost for, let's just say, 20 weeks. And then it's finally, plateaued. We're going to talk about that soon as well. So this is what can happen when you jump and change too much. So why progress feels like it stalls? This is where you're stuck. Most of the guys I speak to, they've been training for a long time, and all of a sudden they've just hit this progress. And the first question I ask them, are you following a program? Oh no, I just sort of go in there and just do whatever. Again, going back to here. Tracking problem. If you're changing lifts all the time, it's not going to allow you to, understand what is working and what isn't. You need to give the lifts the time they deserve, or else you're just constantly permanently stuck into training your nervous system and not building muscle. So perceived plateau is not true adaptation, just lack of measurable progression. Again, this word here, measurable progression. You need to be tracking your lifts. This is not some sort of nerdy bullshit thing. It is how all things are built. You build things with a plan. You save money with a plan. You do all these different things. It is a game of numbers and seeing those numbers go up. So variable chaos, different splits, rep ranges, and order. There is no stable metric there. If you keep everything the same and then only change things, say, every 12 to 20 weeks, well, you have measurable data there to know what lifts are actually stopped and what lifts you can keep progressing. I have been doing the chest-supported T-bar row for 6 months, and I still have not reached a point where I have plateaued, because every single time that I reach the end of a new block, which is like 16 weeks for me, I will then just change the reps. And lo and behold, I progress, because again, I've built out that bottom of my pyramid with progression, thus including some strength gains, neuromuscular, everything like that. I then reduce the sets and reduce the reps. I'm stronger at that point. I can put on more muscle mass at that lower rep range. Science note here, consistency in movement patterns involves load tolerance, improves load tolerance and volume capacity. Key for overload. You have to be improving the load tolerance and the volume. So doing something more frequently for it to overload. If you don't do it long enough, you're not overloading. You're simply just tapping out because it doesn't feel good. Imagine if you've got a lab test and you change all the variables at once with no result. And you're like, oh, it didn't work. And then you do it again and you go, oh, it didn't work. Okay, training's not for me. I got no results. This is where a lot of people get stuck, is they just constantly have no valid result. You know, they've been looking for this measurable and this giant physique changes, but they're not even doing the due diligence to track their own numbers. That is why it's so important, guys, to be tracking your numbers and tracking your everything. This is where, if you want to change from the physique that you've built over 3 to 5 years from just fucking winging it, and you want to build something that is undeniable, well, there is going to be some sort of change that needed to respond to that data. So think about when you want to get a promotion in work. When you really are pushing hard and tracking all your data and measuring all these things so you can bring this big spreadsheet to your boss and go, look how much of work I've done over this time and how much money I've made for the company. There is data backing up, not just you rocking up and going, hey, I deserve a raise because I've been doing hard work. Your boss will turn around and go, well, show me the fucking proof. This is how it works with building a body. You need to be having the proof and understanding to back up the results. So boredom mental reset keeps engagement high, but should be planned, not random. With the guys on my team, we probably change, the small little metrics of exercises and things like that, maybe every 8 to 12 weeks, depending if progress is stalled. If progress is still there, we don't need to change anything. You got into training because you wanted the result, not to be a baby with a rattle and be given all sorts of different shiny objects to keep you busy. If that is your interest, please continue to do F45 and be skinny forever. Overuse concerns. Rotating exercises can reduce joint stress while keeping the same movement pattern. Example here, swapping the barbell bench press. So down here I'm looking. The barbell bench press for an incline barbell press. This will allow you to drop the weight, but keep the movement there and allow you to keep progressing in that plane of movement to continue to build muscle. So this is why you want to be making sure that the swaps make sense. You're not just going from barbell to a completely different press whatsoever. There needs to be some sort of pattern that is very similar to allow you to keep the stimulus high, but allow you to bring back the amount of weight that is stressing out your joints. Breaking plateaus. If progress stalls for 6 to 8 plus weeks, despite correct programming and effort, that's where probably you have reached a plateau. But if you have not done the due diligence to tracking anything for the last 6 to 8 weeks, it is completely fucking random as to what happened. You need to have this data backing you up, or else you will, I'll just simply say it, you will not progress. You will not get out of this lifetime intermediate phase of generally looking kind of jacked, but never really getting out of that pattern. And I know that you feel this when you look in the mirror, because that was fucking me. I was like, why do I train year in, year out, hard, focus on my diet, all these things, but I have no fucking change? It's because I wasn't tracking enough data. Because I wanted something undeniable. Well, I needed to have undeniable proof that things were moving. So, science note here. Periodization, which is essentially like you can't chase two rabbits, is the term that I got taught. So if you want to be going for purely hypertrophy, well, you got to chase that. And then before that phase changes, you change with that. So again, periodization is definitely helpful for hypertrophy. It is more probably around strength gains than anything else. But again, if you are periodizing your sets and reps downwards while intensity is going up, that is a great way to increase intensity and to stop you from plateauing. So how long to stick with a program? Using myself as an example, I have spent the last half of the year with the same program. No changes, just changes in reps and sets. And I've been still progressing. I've been still gaining muscle. There's no real exercise that I can say off the top of my head that I've plateaued. Again, I just keep modifying it with changing in sets and reps because the movement is working. So this absolute specimen of a man is my athlete, Vito. Now, he is also run the same program for 20 weeks because he is an elite level powerlifter. So again, we haven't had to change anything. He's been doing SBD for so long leading into his national competition, and he's been able to build a physique like this. So for all you fucking dickheads who say that you don't look like this if you're doing powerlifting and you get fat, I have news for you. Vito not only is an exceptional SBD athlete, he also does his accessory work with like a bodybuilder. He trains very close to failure. He periodizes. He constantly tracks all his reps, lifts, everything. He's built a physique like this. Okay, so the rule of thumb I have with my boys is every 8 to 12 weeks is like the minimum before we make changes. But again, I have that conversation. I look through their data and go, are you able to get more out of this? Absolutely. Cool. We don't need to change anything. So you can see this, the science note here. Myofibrillary hypertrophy occurs gradually. Noticeable change in 6 to 10 weeks. That is doing the same program for 6 to 10 weeks. That just doesn't mean you do train for 6 to 10 weeks and you get change. It's like, no. You have to do the same thing for 6 to 10 weeks. That's how short of amount of a time it can be for you to get results. If you track your shit. 6 weeks. That's fucking nothing. Okay, so there. The numbers are in the science. You should be really focusing and looking down on this. I go, 6 to 10 weeks, that's fucking nothing, and I can break out of this plateau. Easy. So again, the example here that I gave with Vito, powerlifters run the same main list for years, just small tweaks and accessories. That's exactly what I do with Vito, is I just tweak his accessories to adjust to the composition and the physique that he wants. Okay, so we spent a time doing delts, we spent a time doing chest, we spent a time doing back. All of these things were periodized, and he would run the same program for 16, 20 weeks because he becomes so process orientated that he just wanted the result. So every single time he was just on board with it because he knew, cool, in 6 to 10 weeks, I'll see change on my physique. So long-term structure, same with saving. There needs to be some sort of structure in place. What are you sacrificing to get there? What things are you doing? What data are you tracking to make sure that you're going to hit your goal? Like with all guys and girls that want to go to Europe. Fuck, they do absolutely everything to save money. I've never seen someone so driven to their goals of getting overseas to spend money than someone who's saving for Europe. They'll fucking cut everything out of their life, including fucking personal training. So again, if you were that dedicated to just get over to Europe and get fucking shit-faced, well, great. But also at the same time, you could be having this insane physique alongside you saving for that Europe trip using the same metrics that you do to track your bank account. Tracking your data, tracking your spending, tracking this. Sets, reps, lifts. It's the same shit. So again, with our programming, I usually try to keep the 4 to 6 main lifts, movements in the training block. Again, going back to this model here, where I'm really only changing for movement. Barbell bench, incline barbell bench. So again, it's very simple. My guys know exactly what's going on with the movement. It's the same, but maybe just a changement in bench, a different loading pattern, and away you go. And guess what? You start to continue to build more muscle mass. So there's planned variation. Again, within that sort of time period, 8 to 12 weeks, we rotate the accessory work, grip width, that's probably more to do with powerlifting, but for, let's say, hypertrophy, you could change the grip of your lat pull down. All these different things have a different stimulus response that you're able to then adapt to your physique. Rep targets after a full cycle, I like to go starting up really high reps, so 10, 15. Then the next block would maybe be like 8 to 12 or 6 to 10. And then the final block is anywhere between 5 to 7. You could do 3 to 5 if you really want. All of those rep ranges still build fucking muscle. So undulating or block periodization, this is probably more to do with strength stuff, as that will mean that over the time, like undulating, you'll do higher reps on 1 week, lighter weights, and then heavier weights, lower reps on a different week. Both of these things work, but again, the key changes with them are going to be the intensity. Are you pushing these close to failure? Are you progressively overloading with them? These are the keys. Like, doesn't really matter what block or periodization or split or whatever you fucking do, as long as you're training close to failure and you are tracking all your lifts, you are going to grow. Not swapping exercises. As we spoke about, when you randomly swap an exercise, you might feel this increase in strength really quickly. That is not muscle mass. That is simply your nervous system getting used to the movement. So example, in my grounded strength method coaching, we rotate every 8 to 12 weeks while tracking key lifts all the way around. Okay, most of my guys are all running the same sort of big lifts. Look, it's not rocket science. Most movements are all the same. Do they do this thing? Do they load this muscle tissue really well? Great. Well, let's keep doing it and only swap it out when we're not getting results. So the truth about growth. Muscle confusion is a fucking lie. It is a Instagram bullshit TikTok myth that guys like who are incredibly skinny all the time throw at you to buy their bullshit program. Okay? Do not be a baby that needs a shiny object or a rattle. There is like F45 or all these other fucking bullshit programs that you can do. If that is your thing, if you're happy just to jump around in a room and look like a silly boy and girl, absolutely go for your life. I am not going to hold that against you, but just realize if you want to build a fucking undeniable physique that looks like you train, there has to be, unfortunately, a level of just repeating the same shit over and over again. To grow, consistent stimulus plus progressive overload plus fucking patience. This is something most guys do not have. I need to get jacked now. Well, this is what we need to start with. We need to start with this, this, and this, and this. I don't have time for that. I need to get jacked. Okay, well, you do not have the urge to get jacked then. Because if you can't do the simple thing of tracking your lifts and following a program, guess what? You're going to be stuck in this lie for the rest of your fucking life and be skinny and miserable, just full stop. So the only thing that I can't even talk. The only thing confusion builds is your frustration, not your physique. This is so fucking true. If you're just constantly changing things, you're just scratching that itch for a second, then you just end up back to where you were 3 weeks ago at that frustrated point. Oh, my fucking lifts aren't going up. I'm not getting stronger. I look the same in the mirror. Guess what? I'll change my program. Same thing happens in 3 weeks. Stop the frustration. Start tracking your shit. So, obviously a little bit of a plug at the end. If you're ready to drop the gimmicks and run a program that actually builds an undeniable physique, that's what I fucking specialize in. Not just your exercise list. Hit me up on Insta and I'll show you how to set up a plan you can run for months, track real progress, and see measurable changes in the mirror and on the bar fucking finally. Okay? Again, chuck us a follow on Instagram. If you got something out of today's video, please like and subscribe. It is really, really helpful for myself and my wife running a small business as we are. And of course, if you do have any other comments, concerns, whatever, please leave them in the comment section. I'll be happy to ask them and also be happy to be challenged on any of these things. I always like a nice, healthy debate. But of course, thanks for watching. Ciao.